Season's greetings, one and all. It's the last Super League show before Christmas. And yes, it's Saturday Night Super League. Everyone loves a little bit of a change up to keep things fresh. And as agreed, a show that isn't on Christmas Eve so that everyone can enjoy peak family time during the festive period, but still get their fix of still the greatest nostalgia fancy football content anywhere on these shores or further afield. Tonight, I'm delighted to say I'm being joined by not only the defending champion, but a man who doesn't like to admit it, but he has come back from his S15 tribute act night. Good evening, Mr. Edwards.
Hi, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you, pal. Yourself?
Yeah, I wish I'd have had some sort of like Christmas regalia on, or I said to you earlier, at least my camera pointing towards me tree, but it's the same old here. As is. You know, it's always as is here, isn't it?
Exactly. Ian as is Edwards. I think we should get to, if you get another star, then you officially change your name via Depol to Ian as is Edwards.
If I somehow fluke another star, I am out of here, mate. Absolutely.
That's it, done. Won't see you.
Yeah.
Something that will never be emulated, potentially. All set for Christmas, mate?
Yes, all good. Everything's sorted. Got a bit of wrapping to do, a couple of little bits and bobs, stocking fillers and whatnot. But yeah, it's just all about the Super League, all about the darts, all about the alcohol and the pate.
Well, speaking of which, because I'm really only an expert in one of those four subjects, but I would like to briefly, as you've mentioned it, discuss one of those that I'm not an expert at. And just tell me, because you are a bit of a darts fan, we've learned this in the past, how great is it that the only 35-year-old looking 16-year-old in the world is absolutely killing it this week?
That he has been on some darts regime since he was 18 months old, but he has been on some diet since he was 18 months old as well. I don't know how you get in that shape.
He's a fucking monster for a 16-year-old, isn't he?
In the 16 years that you've had on this earth, you have to be so unhealthy to get to that point. Or he's just focusing on darts, which, fair enough. I mean, he does some magical things. Or he is doing some magical things this week. yeah, it's
I
brilliant to
mean,
watch.
he's a boy after my own heart. In the first round, he was coming out to chants of "You've got school in the morning," and then after winning the game, post a picture of him eating a kebab. What a lad!
I think he genuinely. I think that's every dinner is kebab.
Just a kebab every day.
So, yeah.
Absolute scenes. Evening to Tato, Alf, Mike, Jens is here as well. I have said Jens can go first because on the continent, Christmas is celebrated slightly differently, and he's got big family stuff going on at the moment. So I said he could go first so he could watch his game before disappearing back.
The only guy in the Super League who should be allowed to pick his own tee off time, in my book. He lives in a different time zone. Let him have it. And the other good thing about the Norwegians is like they get to this time of year and they are all about tradition. So if he's got some tradition going on or something with family at this time of year, you let the Norwegians crack on because they are the best at it when it comes to Christmas traditions.
So breaking with Super League tradition slightly, I agree. So I'm going to get Jens's game on. They're away at Sloths. And then as we go through the night, we can then do what would be the usual repertoire of Super League banter about what's been happening so far, if that's okay with you, sir.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Right, let's go. So the Vikings then, if I just move this up on my screen a little bit so I can see it better. They line up like this. If I remember correctly, it is completely unchanged from their last match, which was that 1-0 win over Sancte. A lot of people pre-season talking up Jens's chances this year of being a competitor for yourself. When you look at this squad and you look at this 11, what do you make of Vikings this year?
So the two words that you say there, you say squad and you say 11. So for me, probably the best squad in the Super League.
Pound for pound, yeah.
Don't think that out of that squad you get the best 11, but you get one of them. The problem with having such a good squad is figuring out what your best 11 is. And I'll be honest, this is not particularly close to what I would be doing if I was in charge of the Vikings.
In terms of if you had this squad, or it's not necessarily the squad you would have assembled?
I think there's 3 or 4 players not in the team who I would pick.
Care to throw a couple of names out there for us?
I would probably... Yepes would probably get in ahead of Lasisi or Ferdinand.
Okay.
I think Robbie Keane is probably been a bit harshly done to... I know Brožek has done okay last season. I'd be trying to find room for Mark Vivian 4 probably. Yeah, I think... I mean, it's not far off what I would do. But yeah. I think that is a problem. I think when you are that strong, it takes you to like game week 7, game week 8 to know what sticks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They are up against Sloths this evening. Alf saying in the chat, mystery man in for Sloths tonight, never figured before. So he's gone with the caretaker tactic 1, which includes a 1 at the back. I'm presuming Voigt is the mystery man who's playing on the right-hand side of the 3 DMs. I'm going to be honest, when I first saw this, I was like, oh no, Alf's been on a mad one again. But it actually doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do it away from home. You maybe get away with it at home. Ayala, has he got the Super League pedigree to be that one man on his own at the back? I'm not so sure. I know Alf messaged me a couple of weeks back about Voigt. And I know that he was probably waiting for his chance to get the reins again to sort of give him a game. And Voigt is a little bit like we have Raymer, I think, with the opposite foot, and I think he's kind of a similar.
Wow, it's an interesting one because I thought this, but Voigt's actually either.
Sorry, left as in a left centre as opposed to a right centre.
Yeah.
Not foot. I mean, as inside of the pitch. Yeah, I mean, you could shuffle those 3 around in front of Ayala, but my concern would be whether Ayala's good enough to do that, and then when the quality in front of him. and then I'd go a bit further than that, and I'd say Kerr in the middle on his own there in front of those three. It's always going to be a tricky one playing a formation like that, but with that diamond of 4 in that key area in front of the keeper, yeah, I don't know. Everything's gonna have to go well for him tonight.
Okay. Well, let's again. I don't want to waste too much time on this first game, not out of disrespect, but just so Jens can get back to celebrating. Can I ask you, please, for a score prediction?
I'm going to go for a Desmond.
Desmond to kick off the show. All blue and red in the opening exchanges, but Sloths now weathered that early storm, coming back into it. The Vikings take the lead. No, they don't. It's been ruled out for offside. But there's Henry very quickly putting them into the lead. As you say, Ayala seems to be struggling early doors. Trezeguet and Penza haven't started firing as a partnership yet. Evening, Jamie. And there's 2, Thierry Henry. And it's 2-1, and Penza has got one back. I do have a question I would like to ask, but it was such a pulsating end to that half. I wanted to wait till half time. My Super League brain sometimes gets a bit foggy, but I feel I do recall Henry was a Burn player at some point in history.
Henry is a Super League winner with Burn.
Yeah. My question for you...
Once or twice. I'm not sure you might have done it twice with me. I'm not so sure.
My question for you is, it's the first time I can recall that someone's really given the confidence in him to be the main man up top. Do you think he's capable of doing it?
Absolutely.
Consistently?
I nearly took him off Jens at the start of the season. He offered me a really good deal. He offered me he wanted Montella, and he offered me Henry plus one more. And I was trying to get the one more to be a slightly more of a key player than who he was offering. We were quite close. And I would have put Henry up the top there. He's got everything he needs to play up there. I think probably because he's done it, as coincidentally, he's done it with Alf and he's done it with me at AMC, that people kind of maybe got it stuck in their heads that Henry's okay at AMC. But he doesn't post big numbers at AMC. He's just another one of those who will be a part of a winning team. But he needs to play up top.
No, Jens has said there, click on Henry. So just while we're talking about him, there's his stats there. And like you say, he's got everything he needs. I mean, the pace, the off the ball, the long shots, the finishing, even to an extent, the heading and the strength as well. He's got everything required to really be a leading front man in the Super League, hasn't he?
He does. And I mean, it doesn't quite reflect the sort of the Thierry Henry we know in real life, because if you are looking at genuine AMC qualities, I mean, 14 for creativity, not gonna make any headlines with those numbers. So yeah, I think Jens is probably doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Alf's gone as is. Is that a bit of a surprise considering they're losing, or just that goal changing the thinking, do you think?
Yeah, I think if he hadn't got that late one back, I think he would have probably done something about it. But it's a difficult one, because where do you go from one at the back when you're losing? You're not going to get an awful lot more attacking than you currently are.
No, correct. So we kick off and go to 60. Voigt goes into the book. And it is 2-2. Oh, they've had a goal ruled out this time. That's 2 goals, one for each side ruled out. We get to 61 minutes. It's been an interesting first game, this, hasn't it?
It hasn't. It feels like this season already, even though we're only started game week 3, the disallowed goals seems to have been absolutely loads of them this last 2 and a bit weeks.
I'd just like to point out at 61 minutes that the 2 players we spoke about in the intro, Ayala and Voigt, both rating 9s at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're busy boys.
No, they certainly are. Condition-wise, nothing much to write home about. So Smuts has just messaged, kids finally asleep, reckon that's not going to last. Can I get us out of the way? This is half an hour after he's messaged me and said, Fyfie, please put us on as late as you possibly can. He's now asking to go to game 2.
Just remind me which time zone he lives in again.
He's in the same as me, so it's not British Summer Time. Greenwich Mean Time he lives in. Voigt into MC. So are we going like this? Just wait for Alf's confirmation. That's what he wants to do.
I think Zauri for extra Bria might have been a shout there.
British shambles time, says Smuts. He's saying, okay, that's what he wants to go with. Thank you, Alf. As for Jens, again, they are still winning, but courtesy of a goal being disallowed. Do you think that there's and he's just seen Alf make a tactical amendment. Do you think there's something for him to think about here? I mean, I think it was with Rox the other day. We said that he's arguably got the strongest bench of anyone in the Super League.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier before, didn't we, about how I would do things differently. I didn't even mention Kaladze.
Yeah.
I
think Kaladze, for me, definitely gets in over Paredes.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you could even argue that Simkoviak, if you wanted to batten down the hatches, Kaladze could come in there.
We're going Nedved for Simkoviak is the change, and that is it. So we will continue on with game number 1 and see if any more goals or even disallowed goals are in the offing. And it's free, and there's Brozek to surely wrap up the points for the away side. We commented on, what days was it? Thursday? I've lost track already. We're not even really started the festive season yet. We commented on Thursday about how not a lot of away sides were getting results early season, and we kick off tonight with Vikings winning 3-1 away from home. An entertaining fixture, but that strength in depth that you spoke about of the Vikings team, just too much for Sloths tonight.
Yeah, they were good value for that win, weren't they? I mean, it always kind of felt that they were, apart from those disallowed goals. I mean, disallowed goals, but for both teams.
Yep.
So they have kicked on, and they have put the game to bed pretty well. But I mean, this one at the back thing, I know people get bored of the two at the back, and it's blah blah blah, it's same old Super League. But certain things work, certain things don't work. And I think coming into this game not in great form, it was bold.
No, definitely. All that leaves us to do is to, firstly, to Jens, wish you a fantastic holiday season, and we will see you again the other side of Christmas. Go and enjoy the rest of your celebrations with your family and friends, and glad that you were able to witness this, and you can now go and celebrate the win as well as the festive period. And we'd extend those season's wishes to Alf and Rob as well, who I'm sure will be sharing a Christmas turkey together and discussing what comes next for Sloths. Rock saying 1 at the back is so 2009, 0 at the back is the way forward, and it's no problem at all. That new centre-back duo, says Jens, indeed. And Steve saying Vikings have a chance of being class this season. Yes, they certainly do. We'll just let the game roll if it's okay with you, and except for your fixture, obviously. Wait, hang on. Have I seen Ross? I haven't seen Ross. So I don't know whether to get this game out of the way for Smuts or wait one more just to see if he turns up. I'm going to wait one more just to see if he turns up. So we'll go with Dudley Hill Badgers. 2 of the former Stream team going head to head, and the big. Ross is here, but we're here now. And when I'm on, it's very rare that Badgers go early, so we'll do this one and then we'll do Smuts. The big news is that Giggs is injured and therefore can't play this evening. Badgers line up like this. It is the tried and tested, but Agahawa comes in on the left, and that means a swap on the bench. Live takes sub 3 and Kaka sub 4. Simeone comes in, but he sticks to the left-hand side with Butt sticking to the right. Badgers always, they're another team who have developed, and even when they make changes, look strong.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that Giggs is a loss. Agahawa was decent. I mean, whether LR is his position or not, he's kind of been forced into that. I guess he could have played live there. But Simeone back, excuse me, is a massive upgrade. So on one hand, yeah, he loses something there, but he solidifies it up for a very difficult away challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. They come off the back of obviously beating yourself the other day. It was a
Champion.
it was a champion. They were ruthlessly efficient, which Badgers at times can be, can't they? That they don't often need a lot of opportunities to score a lot of goals.
They took 20 minutes to win the game, didn't they? The next 60, 70 minutes, whatever, was basically just not losing it, which you've got to do. You've got to find ways of getting over the line and beating your tough opponents, and that's exactly what they did.
As for Dudley, they're still without Vogel, Malewski injured as well. They keep the same formation, but they make a couple of changes. Woodgate comes in for Gamara. Much talked about Woodgate pre-season with his 20s for tackling and heading and lots of other strong numbers throughout. And also a favourite of mine, and again, I may be foggy slightly, but I want to say someone who you've used in the past. Decor comes in for his first start of the season as well.
Yeah, I've had Decor in the past. He's barely ever got a sniff for me when I've had him. To be honest with you, I got him out to Steve quite quickly this time round. I can't remember who I got for him. In all, it might have been a deal involving me getting Montero. If actually thinking about it,
why can't I see you on this list? You're not on this list.
It's previous season, I think.
Okay. So it'll be down here. Yeah, Montero.
So I think the one that stands out for me at the minute is what he's getting out with Joe Cole as a lone centre mid. Bearing in mind, I think he was as a final deal was kind of offering him out a little bit.
Yeah.
Before the season started, and he's hit the ground running, and he's doing great with him.
So a score prediction, if possible, please.
2-1 Dudley.
2-1 to Dudley. Let's see how you get on with that one. 15 minutes in, and Dudley are coming forward. Comandini! Oh, and another goal ruled out. That's our third of the night in 2 games already. You are correct about the disallowed goals. They are coming thick and fast. Half an hour now played. I believe that Saviola put one over the bar. Both sides have had chances. I'm just looking. It's breezy, which might explain why the goalkeepers aren't necessarily keeping hold of everything. But we get to half time. It's 0-0.
Wow.
And it looked like there was more than just that.
It looked like there was a hell of a lot more than that. I was expecting to click on that and see some decent numbers for Dudley Hill there, because it felt like they absolutely bossed it. And really all they've done is complete more passes and won a few more tackles.
Absolutely. And not quite been as good in the air. Let's have a look. Ian's asking, what results have I missed? You haven't missed any. You came in during the first game that Vikings won. This is game number 2. So you haven't missed anything in. Looking at the ratings, Joe Cole, the player you mentioned, he's the only player for the home side on a yellow card. Mark Van Bommel playing well in that first half. They need to get the ball to Mackay and Comandini more.
They do. Comandini's another one that he got from me, and he's absolutely flown for him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Mackay does it season in, season out. The wide men, I know it's a bit of an issue as he's playing 2 world-class DML, DMR, MR, ML. But he seems to be getting numbers out of them as well. So yeah, he needs them to step up and supply, doesn't he?
No, absolutely. Looking at the away side, then looking at Badgers, mixed, but it's quite average looking if you look purely at the ratings. Again, you're looking at Nicky Franco, Saviola, Rossini, just not seeing enough of the ball. It's very much an arduous battle in that midfield area, isn't it?
Yeah, and if you look a little bit below that, you've got Nicky Butt 7 tackles, Simeone 8 tackles, Desai 8 tackles. There you're talking crikey, you're talking 23 tackles in 45 minutes between the 3, that wall of 3. So it's no wonder they're on the way towards keeping another clean sheet.
Well, both managers going as is. Let's see what happens in the second half. It's Dudley that looked to have started the quickest. Toldo with another save. Okoronkwo goes into the book. We reach the hour mark, and it's a corner kick for Dudley Hill. Van Bommel maintaining his 9 rating. A player who sometimes flatters to deceive, but every now and then does show almost real-life glimpses of his quality.
Who's that?
Mark Van Bommel.
Van Bommel. Never does it anywhere, does he? And he'll come up with occasional 8 or a 9 for somebody, and then he'll hide back behind a load of more 6s and 7s. But yeah, I think Steve's got something here, hasn't he? I think maybe he's in for a decent season. It'll be the first one in a long time if he does.
Absolutely. Tato believes he's under a lot of pressure here in this game. You look at the bench again. I said in the predictions podcast that I think Dudley Hill have maybe been slept on a little bit by a few people. They haven't noticed the work that C's done in the window. It's not quite as strong, say, as the Vikings bench we saw earlier, but that's a useful subs bench to have. There's definitely options there.
I think the only reason Steve gets put so low down in the predictions is because we always wonder at what point he's going to start chopping and changing and what point his head might fall off. And I think sometimes you forget that he's been there and he's done it and he's won it. He's an
actual winner, yeah.
And he, as well as any other manager in the league, can just go on an inspired run and have a season-defining run of games. So he's absolutely, totally more than capable. It's just that we never normally, in the last few seasons, we've never normally seen a settled Dudley Hill or a settled White Rose. Mm-hmm. But he seems settled this time.
Luca Toni is coming on for Comandini. That is the change for Dudley. As for badges, we saw the Okoronkwo yellow card. Again, it's 6s and 7s predominantly. We've seen Toldo make a few saves. Kaká's a player who was getting coach reports after sort of game week 1, and he's been reinstalled to the 24. Is there a place for him maybe to come on and have an impact here and create something?
I'll be honest, if ever a bench screamed as is, it's probably that one. Because, like, as highly as he might rate Ashley Lythe, he doesn't get in ahead of those 3. Positional changes maybe, and I don't see that either. I don't see him doing Kaká for Nicky Forenko, so I would imagine it's got to be as is, hasn't it?
Interesting thought that Steve may be better with less transfers, said Rox. And there is the change. It is Kaká for Nicky Forenko to try and just change the tide, so to speak. That'll do. So just the one change apiece on the 60-minute mark. Let's see if either of these players can have an impact on this game. Another yellow card for Badgers player. And there is Luca Toni. And this is why Steve is paid the big money at Dudley Hill to make these sorts of decisions. Sorochitsky goes in the book. And there's an injury, and it's Klompe. Ashley Lythe, the obvious replacement, but possibly dropped SIE back as well here.
I think you would do, wouldn't you? I mean, you maybe do. I mean, Lythe there, like for like, is okay. You could even swap him with SIE and then put Simeone in the middle and Lythe to the left of the 3. Because he can't tactically change with an injury, can he? So it is just
correct,
yeah.
And he's going with Lythe and keeping him at centre back. Interesting. So let's continue on. 15 minutes to go. Dudley Hill a goal up, and Badgers now missing their centre back with Lythe coming on. Let's see if we get some late controversy. Abiati with a save, and it's all Badgers at the moment as they try. But here come the home side. Free kick to Dudley Hill. Decor to take. Good control from Contra. Crosses to the back post. But Badgers retain possession. Coming to the final few minutes. Oh, Kaká dispossessed. Nice turn, and it's Tony. And still Tony. Contra! Fine save, but Cole picks up surely. And there it is, it's 2. And the man that you spoke about in the intro, Joe Cole, surely settles this one. Badgers are going to suffer defeat at the hands of Dudley Hill. And I believe it was Smuts who said, I would love nothing more than a Dudley Hill win, but I simply cannot see it against this Badgers side. Well, see it, Smuts. See it and believe it, because there's the full-time whistle. And for my money there, Ian, good value for that 2-0 win as well.
Oh, absolutely good value. Yeah, Dudley, they've arrived, haven't they? Dudley, they're looking good. I don't think anybody wants them next week on the face of that, I would say. I know Tater was a bit concerned that it started off with 2 home games and he was going away from home, and I don't think he was mega confident, but I don't think he would have been expecting to get outplayed quite like that.
No, quite right too. Let's have a look at the home side stats. And it's that man again, Joe Cole, picking up the Man of the Match award.
Yeah, and as much as I probably wouldn't have done it, Luca Toni coming on 61 at 0-0, having an 8, getting a goal, being a bit of a catalyst towards, seeing the game out as well. Yeah, good decisions all around from Steve there. Really well done.
As for Badgers, the subs haven't really had the desired impact. Obviously, haven't had the impact that the Dudley substitution has had. But there's just far too many 6s and just not enough players really being able to. I'm not saying that the effort wasn't there and they weren't trying, but they weren't able in this game to hit their usual standards.
No, I mean, it looks very much from those numbers like they've spent a hell of a lot of the game putting fires out and tackling and trying to keep the trouble away. And we go back to that bench, don't we? I mean, there's a lot of, talk about certain managers in this league, me being included in that, who go all out for a good 11. And I think Badgers, fantastic 11. I don't know whether we're now seeing there might not be a huge amount behind that 11.
Okay. Well, it'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on over the next couple of game weeks, that is for sure. This is the game we wanted to do next. We're going to Foss Road versus Stackington. If we look down the bottom, it's early in the season. Stackington, Ross got his first win last time out. Foss Road, one of 4 teams still without a point this season. So huge game for both of these managers. We're looking at the away side first. This is their game week 3 tactic. We can see Super League stalwart and unsung hero Matt Holland is in the 11. D'Alessandro in support of Amoroso and Morientes. An unknown quantity still is Ross, and not necessarily going with the trend of players people would automatically pick. What's your thoughts on this team?
Yes and no. I think he came under a bit of criticism week 1 for his 3 at the back, and I think most people said just stick Hippier and Simic in there and leave them as a 2 and then work from there. I mean, he's got one of the best right wing backs in the league. Coco's fine as well on the other side. Holland,
I agree.
We've seen Holland post decent numbers there in that role. So I think he knew what he wanted to do up top. I think he knew roughly what he'd do around the middle of the pitch. He seems to have quickly decided, let's knock the 3 at the back on the head. Let's do something that gives us a chance that we know works. We think, Kili Gonzalez probably isn't a central AMC, so give D'Alessandro a chance to do what we know D'Alessandro can certainly do on home saves. Maybe not so much in the Super League, but certain managers can get certain players ticking. He could get D'Alessandro ticking. He could supply Amoroso and Morientes up there. Looks quite decent. I never see the need to start off a match with long arrows on fullbacks. I always think the little arrows are absolutely fine, but it's a tiny detail.
A detail I'm sure he will note because there are very few who have been and seen as much as you have, sir. Let's have a look at Foss Road, who are without the suspended Patrick Kluivert. So they opt to go with this, which is an alteration on what they've done previously. So they've got Riquelme drop back to partner Van der Vaart in central midfield. Franca supporting Santa Cruz. Michael Owen on the bench. The big news is Emerton is back. He is fit and he is ready to play.
Yeah, I mean he's loaded down that side, isn't he? Because I know he likes Yakubu as well if needed. He's someone like Igor Biscan who hasn't had a sniff down there. He's also got in his pocket if need be.
Mm-hmm.
I think Van der Vaart will probably benefit from having a little bit of help in there. It's fairly packed and it's fairly. I'm not going to say defensive because I mean you have got arrows, but I mean you've got it is built around the egg box, but your front two and the egg box certainly can go forward. And he's as someone who probably knows a lot more about the game than I do, he's probably got Riquelme doing a load of business that will probably get forward and do various bits and bobs.
Well, let's find out if he does. Could I ask you for a score prediction, please?
2-0 home win.
2-0 home win. What a result that would be for Foss Road. A pile-driving effort early doors and an early goal. It's Riquelme's first ever goal, and it has come from that central midfield position. The perfect start for the home side. Remember, Smuts, much like Tater was saying in the chat earlier, Smuts basing any chance of glory on home form because he's fucking poor away. But it's very quickly flown by. We're approaching half-time already. Can they get a second? They want a penalty. Casillas be sent off again. Fuck me.
It's got to be his last game for the club.
Oh, I feel so sorry for Ross here. 3 games and the same goalkeeper's been sent off twice.
Liability, isn't he, till you get to the playoffs?
He is so good in the playoffs, but so shit in the season. I mean, look at the reaction here. You've got Ian saying that's harsh. You've got Steve saying, oh my. You've got Mike saying, oh, Ross. Even Smuts is saying, oh, Ika. Ian likes your reference of the egg box. I think you'll be hearing more from the other Ian about the egg box. Well, on the stroke of halftime, Foss Road have a penalty to go 2 up, and Casillas has been sent off for the second time this season.
Yeah,
just can't legislate for it, can you?
Time for Farid to come on and shine again and try and stake that claim. And I'm sure that Ross will have a few DMs soon on what do you want for Casillas?
Yeah, because the thing is, most clubs would still take Casillas.
I must admit, I wouldn't. I think he's one of these where like people should have learned by now. You qualify for your top 6, then you bring him in. It's like my lad for his local under-10s team. He'll play centre back or he'll play left centre mid, and then when he goes to extra time and pens, they bring him in for penalties at the end of the match for a penalty shootout. Just when it actually counts and when the guy's got to step up, then you bring the guy in, but not when he's a liability for the first 26 games.
Casillas is essentially the Tim Krul of the Super League.
Yeah.
Smuts, I have set up your penalty takers as requested. The question is, do you want to make any tactical amendments as it's a red card? I don't imagine you will, as it's so close to half-time. I'm going to drop the commentary down to very slow just to build the tension for the penalty. But I will wait Smuts' instructions first. Now that he's seen that there's no AM, can he offload one of the 2 DMs? He's gone as is. Right, let's go. Can the substitute... Yeah, I did do it. Can the substitute say... Scott straight in there. Casillas is garbage. I wonder if Haggis will be putting in a bid for Casillas now. Let's do this penalty then. Can Foss go in 2 up at the break? Roy Carroll is itching for a run somewhere. Ross says Mike Savage. It's Riquelme. And he does score. It is 2 for Riquelme, 2 for Foss Road, and it's half-time. I mean, they've been good value for the lead, but you do feel a little bit for an incoming manager to have had this start, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, the only saving grace for Ross is that Foss Road already looked very strong, and they looked probably well on their way to dominating the match anyway. now he's probably never going to know whether he was going to get back into it because he's got that man down, and that is something that is out of his control. But yeah, decisions to make, opportunities. You know, if he does want to cash in on a keeper there, and if he's already had enough of him.
Without even seeing his stats, Ross has gone as is. Foss Road, a question for you. Now that they've got a 2-goal lead and a man advantage, as someone who has played Vieira a lot in the past on his own at DM, is this a chance to take the handbrake off a little bit, get Maresca off the pitch, get someone more attacking on, and get some confidence in the attackers?
Well, first things first, you get to 60 and you see the game out. You get the 3 points on the board. And then you look to maybe do something different then. Yeah, I mean, I don't. People get bored of me saying what I would do or whatever in these situations, but I think I would never have anyone playing alongside Vieira in the DM role. I think it's a waste of a position on the pitch.
Well, in the time we've been talking, Foss have gone 3 up through Franca, and then all the time went by, so we've stopped it on 79. So apologies for that, lads. Zé Roberto's dropped down to 63%. Van der Vaart 70. It's a few 70s knocking about the Foss Road team. They seem to be putting a lot of effort into this.
Yeah, or the opposition are a bit fed up and they just started kicking.
Just hacking at them.
Yeah. I mean, Zé Roberto may be one of them that you'd look to protect, I guess.
Get Maresca out wide now.
Yeah, I mean, you could even the lesser spotted Recoba might even get a game.
Ian suggesting he'd get Zé Roberto off right now. It's huge. You know, we've seen Sloths lose already tonight. So for Foss Road, assuming that they don't have an almighty collapse in this last 10 minutes, it's big for them to get off the mark in this first home game of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, people like Smuts and, well, mostly the league kind of worry me a little bit because, like I said to you earlier, I know that someone like him knows a lot more about this game than I do. Mm-hmm. And I have to hope that he still makes enough mistakes before he ends up catching up to where my team is, if you know what I mean. Because when you get to a level footing, then it's the guys who know more about the game that theoretically should kick on.
You've made your mistakes already and learned from them.
Yeah, plenty of them, and still doing so, in all honesty. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to criticise. He's put 3 past his opposition. His team are all there's not a 6 on the board. They look absolutely fantastic. They're still bombing forward. Might not even end up at 3. And he's in a good position of being able to give a couple of people a game. So
if I've interpreted this correctly, Maresca has gone out to the left. So Roberto's been replaced by Yakubu, who slots into midfield, and Vieira is going to play that central role on his own now.
That looks spot on.
Yeah, there he's saying perfect. Game over as far as Stackington are concerned, you'd imagine. Would you be looking to do anything at this point to maybe just take a couple of players off, or give the likes of Romoshenko or Gonzalez some game time? Or do you try and impact the game in a positive way to try and get back into it still?
No, the game's over, isn't it? Whether he wants to protect Kieran Dyer or not by shifting Mendieta or Holland out there, whether he wants to bring Romoshenko on one of his positions. I mean, it gives you options, his variety of positions. Just to see the game out and stop people getting hurt and go again next week, basically.
So, learning from what Rocks did the other day, if I've interpreted this one correctly, Kesman's come on for Simic and gone up top. Holland for Kili Gonzalez and into attacking midfield, and then Hippier into DMC. So he's going none at the back for the last 10 minutes or so.
Crikey. Okay.
This could be fun for Foss Road. They could be about. I mean, Smuts is celebrating. They could be about to get a few more. Although we did see that when Rocks did this, it didn't exactly go to plan for the opposition because they didn't score.
I'd say the thumbs up there from Smuts already. He's obviously pleased with that move, isn't he?
He certainly is indeed. Just wait for Ross to confirm that is correct. Ian suggesting this is now going to finish 5-0. Yeah, Jens is saying don't do it.
I just don't like the thought of like when you could have battened down the hatches at 2 or 3 and then you go 4 or 5 and your next pack comes out and everyone who could have been on good morale who might all of a sudden be on okay or not, you know.
Mike's saying if you're losing by 3, might as well lose by 6. And Ross saying Casillas has ruined my Christmas. Let's go. Well, let's go indeed. So let's see how these changes affect the game. There's one, Amoroso.
Oh.
Go on, get a second. I dare you to get a second. Smuts would be shitting himself if they get a second. 89 on the clock. Into stoppage time. Oh, that was it.
Making a game of it.
Yeah, they made a game of it. Steve just quoted my commentary. I dare you to get a second. Ian saw the funny side, and Paul said feared the worst. But Foss Road off the mark for the season, deservedly so. But Ross is. I think you're right. I don't think he will give Casillas a third opportunity.
I think we all, at some point, we know it's a game, but we all take certain aspects of it personally. And I think there's no one in this league who doesn't take that second red card personally and say, right, you're out the door, mate.
I'm sure he would love nothing more than someone to sneak into his DMs on Christmas Eve if you've still got a transfer available. To be fair, I don't know if he has any transfers left. If he does, then I'm sure he'd love to hear a bid from Casillas. Riquelme picking up man of the match, a 10 out of 10 rating, but 9s as well for Hofland and for Emerton. Solid performance for Foss Road there.
Decent touches. Everyone's seen the ball. Everyone's completed the passes. I mean, what tackles they've had to make. They've generally made them. As I said to you earlier, not a 6 on the board. I mean, only a couple of 7s. Crikey. It's a little bit. Ian wants Casillas. There's not a chance that Iker Casillas will ever be at the furnace. Not a chance. Yeah, a fantastic performance. You don't know how much of it is skewed from that red card, but the feeling before the red card was that Foss Road, to me, were well on their way.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Riquelme is a fraud. That's his only good performance so far this season in 3 attempts. As for Stackington, you just hope, I know it, what's the right way of phrasing this? We all do get emotionally invested in our teams. I've done it plenty of times. You've been, you're so entwined with Burn that you couldn't imagine anyone else taking on that mantle, so to speak. So you just hope that Iker Casillas hasn't ruined Ross's Christmas here.
I reckon he's ruined his night for sure. We've all been there, haven't we? Where like even you wake up, first thing you think of in the morning is bloody Casillas, and then you've got to try and get over it tomorrow at some point during the day. I think by Christmas Day, Ross will be all right. But I think it's
but Christmas Eve, however,
I think it's been ruined Christmas Eve for him. Yeah.
Tato with one of the best comments I think I've ever seen in the live chat. Smuts sounding like Klopp when Bournemouth at Anfield King Press lose 6-0 every year. Class, absolutely class. Well, congratulations, Smuts. Commiserations to Ross as we move on to the next game, which is one I'm quite looking forward to, actually. I think LSK Stanley has the makings of it would be like the undercard of a heavyweight fight, but this would be the undercard one that everyone was talking about afterwards. I think this game has real potential. Jamie isn't about, he's doing family things, as a couple of people are. But he has made a slight tactical tweak, so he's gone 1 behind 2 instead of 2 behind 1. Tristan starts alongside Pizarro. In fact, no, I saw Jamie in the chat earlier, so he may be about. Guerrero comes in as well. They've had a couple of absentees. I don't know if you spotted Boya out, Kaluzhny out, Power unavailable as well. Someone who I rate quite highly finally gets a place on the bench in Mikel Silvestre. I think he's a very good option at centre-back. What do you make of this LSK team?
I mean, it shows how strong they are at centre-back that Silvestre can't get in, because obviously Maldini and Onshaw are both fantastic. I think, the two that are missing, Boya a big loss because it's Boya and he's class. Kaluzhny a big loss because he's clearly part of Jamie's plans and he started the last match more than. Yes, he looks like a good version of Kaluzhny and he's decent, but more for the fact that he started the first 2 games and Jamie clearly had him in his plans. As I was saying earlier, though, like sometimes, like, you know, if an opportunity might come from something like that happening. So
yeah,
I think it's well within the realms of possibilities that he gets Kaluzhny injured and finds someone better. Gets a Patrick Pauve injured and finds someone better, because I think there possibly are with Lysands, with Van Bronckhorst. I think there probably are.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm a massive fan of Van Bronckhorst, so I'm delighted that he's getting some game time.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously newish to the club anyway. I mean, he had the back end of last season, so I mean, there might be even guys in the reserves that could step up and do a job for him. But he's another one who will still be figuring out the team, because I mean, he's had 3 or 4 games last season. He's had a transfer window when he's been allowed to make a fair few transfers.
Yeah.
Started 2 games and now got a couple of injuries. So yeah, it's not easy to figure it out.
Over the seasons, we've run out of superlatives to describe Fabio Barthez, but I just want to highlight the fact, I know that they've lost both games so far this season, but they conceded 2 to Haggis, who had 18 shots, 13 of which on target, and 1 to Exiles, who had 20 shots and 11 of them on target. Barthez just does not ever not perform, does he?
He might throw you in 1, 5 or a 6, mightn't he, in a season, and you take that from your goalkeeper every single time. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, you're talking like absolute elite: Buffon, Toldo, Barthez,
Casillas.
That's probably, I'm struggling to think of maybe a 4th or a 5th that you'd lumber in with those 3 if you were going to go back to a draft. Which ones do you want? They're the names that are coming up every time.
Mike saying Barthez the keeper to let Sigalka get a season 15 cherry. Not bloody likely. Let's have a look at the Rose team then, who've been quietly going about their business. Again, early days, only 2 games in, but a win and a draw. So a solid start. This is the team. So Vashuk comes in for Gary Neville, who's suspended. And Di Biagio, who started the last game, comes back out because Scally is available again. It's a solid kind of team you look at there, isn't it? It may not be blessed with the greatest of quality, but there is a solid workmanlike style to it.
I think you might be selling them a bit short there, workmanlike. I think there's class throughout the team. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Mike anyway, as everyone probably knows. I like the way they've gone about it back end of last season. I love the way he's kind of like, he's shut up shop and done very little.
He did.
In the window, which, you know, I tried my hardest on a couple of players, and I've got to give him absolute full credit for battering me back all the time and sticking to his guns. I pretty much every decision he's made, I pretty much thought was spot on. And I think there's certain positions in the team where he doesn't necessarily have huge superstars. He's got players to bring in who are as good, if not better, to bring in that continuity. So, like, I mean, Vaschuk, massively strong. If Vaschuk isn't there, Gary Neville. If Gary Neville isn't there, Wes Brown. I mean, they're all of a sort of a type of player. You know, even Zanoni. I mean, Phil Neville. We've seen Phil Neville under Kitchen Dan do absolutely fantastic. He could come in there, and you wouldn't miss Zanoni, and you'd probably just get the Stanley train rolling on, because they're not big losses. It's maybe if you lose the likes of Edgar Davids, he's already proved he can go without Scally and not lose. Davids might be a miss at some point, but yeah.
I think Jens sums it up perfectly there, where he says that 11 can be everyone, but could never be champions.
Yeah, I'm not saying he could be champions. I mean, when I did my predictions at the start of the season, I had him top 6. So I mean, I think finishes 7th. I think he's sold himself short.
Okay. Score prediction for this one, please.
1-1.
1-1 says the Cocons. Well, there's an early 1 for Pizarro, and that hasn't been disallowed. It's 1-0 to the home side. Again, another one of those 4 who went into the night without a point. So this could be a big start for them, especially with the dependable Sander Westerveld in the opposition goal. Seen Sigalko's name a couple of times, so Stanley definitely getting the ball in the right areas, but they need a goal to get anything out of this game. We know that already. Half an hour played, still 1-0 to the home side. Barthez, I mean, how many times are we going to see Barthez with a superb save this season? Half-time whistle goes. Entertaining, better than some of the games we've seen in the first half tonight.
It's a good game, good half that. And it felt very even, but obviously Stanley have shaded it in chances. But Los Santos bossing the tackles, bossing the headers. Home advantage, they're kind of strong. You could see them kicking on from here. But Stanley, they have enough of the game, enough of the text. But yeah, it's on a knife edge, this one, isn't it?
Barthez at one end being the stalwart that he is. Pizarro at the other end also rating an 8. Everyone else in between them just being functional but doing their jobs. Yeah,
I think Pizarro had to step up, didn't he? Was he not? I know he was on a 5 at some point in the last match, and he wasn't doing great. So he's had to repay Jamie's faith with him sticking with him and doing something. So yeah, I imagine that's probably the thing that's, as much as Barthez having an 8, probably Pizarro's performance pleases him even more.
Yeah, and the pressure is on for the strikers, because Vasilyuk seems to be getting talked about by the coaches every game week at the moment. So there may be a shout that he comes in very soon. And Jamie there, even has gone as is. Let's have a look at Stanley. And Ian has asked in the chat, is it a shitey save, Sigalko? What's your thoughts on this? So he's still only 19 years of age. He scored 10 in 19 last season, yet to score in 2.5 games this. Do you think the game looks at age and says that he's not the finished article yet?
It's the $1 million question, isn't it? I have had a certain Super League manager in my DMs this week asking, why is he not scoring any bloody goals? And he's got one or two stats, one or two attributes that aren't, I guess, quite there, that are sometimes there. But I think you look at the same thing I said to Mike at the time. I said, if you look at Mpenza, Montella, Crespo, none of these guys are banging in a ton of goals. So it might be more of a league-wide issue rather than a player issue. And I also would suggest that your team's doing all right. So, it's probably nothing particularly to worry about.
So both managers going as is at the break. Let's see what more this game has to offer as we head towards the 60-minute mark. Some early text for the away side. Can they get the ball up to their main man, though? And they've got a penalty, and Ekiog is the latest player to get sent off. We have another penalty and another red card, and just before the hour point as well. Not what Mike wants to see this, is it?
It's not. because of all the talk about the centre backs that are on offer, he's kind of the mainstay.
It's just said, "Oh, good."
But I mean, decision might be made a bit easier for him by the fact that he is losing. He's probably about to go 2-0 down, so the one at the back kind of seems like an easier choice to make in a situation like this.
And of course, if he does save the penalty, then we'll be stopping the game again in like 5 minutes anyway to make changes. Yeah. Which also prompts me to maybe think that Jamie won't make any changes until the hour mark.
Yeah, if you're saying do give it another 4 minutes and then do the 60, then yeah, absolutely.
Roxy can already feel momentum mounting for a transfer window. To be fair, mate, there's quite a few teams who still have plenty of deals left. So there's no need for a transfer window after 3 game weeks. Sand to centre-back, centralised Scally is the message from Mike. So that is what we will do. Jamie, anything you'd like to do at this point? I mean, I know asking Ian as is Edwards what he would do. But given you would assume LSK, yeah. Jamie said it there, correct. Leave it till 60.
Yeah.
Will do. Let's slow it down for the penalty again, for drama. Tristan places it on the spot and scores. It is 2-0 to LSK. And again, literally just 10 minutes flies by without even seeing it. Yes, Jens agrees. No need for a transfer. So 68 on the clock there. Look at Barthez again. Absolutely monster. He's already, I think, if he can maintain anywhere near what he's done these first 3 games, already goalkeeper of the season.
It's a fantastic base to build on, isn't it? I mean, if you are one of these managers who builds from the back, I mean, Jamie actually is one of the few of us who actually applies his trade in real life as well as on a screen, isn't he? So he probably knows how to put a team together more than most of us. And if that's the way you're doing it, and you're thinking, right, first name on the team sheet, you're probably not far off by saying second 2 names on the team sheet are the 2 guys in front.
Yeah,
build from there, and you've got a chance of winning any game.
So just the one change, and it is the man I was talking about a few moments ago. Vasiliuk is going to get a run out. He is coming on for Diego Tristan. And to be fair, Ross makes a great point. You mean Casillas is a goalkeeper of the season so far? He is, but for completely the wrong reasons. He is the fucking banter player of the season. He's making Zidane look world class in the Super League. It's Casillas at the moment.
I hope he serves his suspension out and then Ross puts him straight back in.
Oh dear. I'm not sure what average ratings and stats end of. Slow. I'm not sure what Jens is meaning there. Sorry, Jens. If you explain, I'll happily do something for you. Mike's saying insult to injury, Mr. Hopkins. Just bring it on Vasiliuk. So 2-0 down again. Same sort of question, I suppose. Does Mike go for it to try and affect the game? I mean, he's not 3 down, so there's a chance. It's still got, what, 20 odd minutes?
I mean, he likes João Pinto, and João Pinto's made a lot of contributions. Maybe you look at Juninho for a little bit of creativity. I mean, he got Juninho off me, and his attributes look fantastic. So, I mean, he's an unknown quantity in this save. He could come along and just do 1 or 2 things out of the blue. You think the game's gone. And the shame of it is that they were always in the game, weren't they? But the game's it's kind of conspired to go against them, really.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Mike did a second sub after I'd already confirmed it. I got the one message come through, David's off for Juninho, and then about 5 messages later, I got Zanoni for Neville. Sorry, Mike.
I'm never a fan of putting my changes in multiple messages, I must admit.
Entertaining game, 22 chances between the sides. Maybe both sides could look at their effective in front of goal. but a big win for LSK.
A proper harsh one for Stanley, but yeah, it does give you a bit of pause for thought with Maxim, doesn't it? They have had chances there, and I don't know the answer to that question.
Do you think they have, I don't often do it this way round, but if you look at their options, I mean, they don't have a great deal of other attackers in there that you'd maybe look to replace him with?
Well, no, I mean, you don't, do you? Regardless of whether he's scoring or not, you play him because at some point, like we all would do, you think he's going to start scoring. I mean, you're not going to bench him. If you're going to bench him, you might as well sell him because he's one of the biggest bargaining chips in the game. I mean, he's had 6 shots and he's come away with a 6. I mean, yeah, it's the more I think about it now, the probably I can see where Mike's coming from in this sort of like pulling your hair out scenario.
He seems to be doing everything but score.
Yeah. I say there's one or two. I don't know how they try to get the ball to him. In all honesty, there's one, and there are one or two attributes that he's a bit down on compared to say when I had him. Yeah, he'll figure it out.
We've got 3 games remaining, and we go on to Sancte versus Exiles. Rox, as I said the other day, promised us goals. He's 2 for 2, having scored 2 goals. And this is how they maintain this formation. The only change to their team from the last game is that Kutusov comes on the bench in place of, I think it was Kasterman. Yeah, Kasterman. There's now discussion about Ian saying subs only finished when done is seen, and then Jens has followed up with just write it in one message.
Yeah.
This has, I said to Rox when we went off live the other night, I said, I'm actually really looking forward to this game. Obviously, in the past, myself and Duggan have had a bit of back and forth from time to time. So our games were always ones I would look for on the fixture sheet. So I was looking forward to seeing what Rox's Exiles would do against Sancte. Fyfie, can you click on my player ratings at the end of the show? As I did say, yeah, no worries, mate. I will click on them again for you. No problem at all. So yes, unchanged. This side has real strength in it. I didn't necessarily like the transfer business. I think I said in the preseason show, but when you see what Rox is trying to do with it, it makes a bit more sense, I feel. And then you realise that you're trying to make sense of what Rox is doing with a team. Do you think that he will get him clicking to the point of scoring and conceding as many goals as he's expecting?
It's hard to know what to expect with these. I mean, I don't know whether Rox knows what to expect apart from an absolute roller coaster of a season. The one at the back, Nesta. If you got Tomasi, the other two, I mean, he'll know more about Polino Santos than I do. Cambiasso is a good Cambiasso, but Tomasi protecting Nesta, that looks pretty. If you're going to go one at the back,
you want it to be Nesta with Tomasi in front.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Veron's got stats everywhere, hasn't he? So I mean, he can put a tackle in that middle position as well. Yeah, I think he's gonna get battered once or twice, and that one at the back will be exposed at times. But I think he totally expects that.
Despite going into this game having lost both and without even a goal to their name so far this season, Sancte go as is from their last fixture.
I don't know whether the as is because he's got stuff going on and Christmassy things going on, or whether he just thinks that's what he wants to do, whether he thinks trust the process.
Arguably, this is their strongest 11, I think.
Well, like I said to you earlier, there's certain managers who go all out for a decent 11. If he hasn't got many injuries, chances are his best 11's already on the pitch. It probably is going to go as is if his best 11's already being picked. and he's at home. He's playing a one at the back team, so he possibly thinks, yeah, just leave it and hopefully first win of the season. I look at that. I'm looking Donovan, Mootsie. I mean, yeah.
The only one for me possibly is I would maybe have Udeze in for Argyle. But other than that, I think this is his strongest team.
Argyle's absolutely class. I wouldn't. Gallardo's got fantastic attributes as well, but if you're not going to play him, if you're not playing wingers or if you're not playing AML, AMLR, probably he doesn't get a game anyway, perhaps.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go to kick off then and ask you once again for a score prediction, please.
Yeah, I think Sancta get off the mark here. I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0 to the home side. So it's 100% win record, Exiles travelling to 100% loss record, Sancte. So that generally means only one thing is going to happen. But there's Saha with his first ever goal for Exiles. And the away side take the lead. The home side tried to go back in it, yellow card dished out. Plenty of text for the home side at the moment. You feel there's a goal potentially coming. I think that was Ambrosini, the latest to go in the book. But Batistuta has been disallowed. I think that's number 4, if not 5 of the night of disallowed goals. But we get to half time quite quickly. Exiles with a 1-goal lead. Not the best game in terms of drama and entertainment, but on a knife edge and could still go either way.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that, I must admit. I mean, the only thing I'll say about Sancte is, again, they've got an absolutely dominant DMC, and he's played alongside 2 other DMCs. Maybe at home in this situation, there's not the need to do it. But I know this is the setup that a lot of people are going to this 3 DMs, aren't they? And I know it's the setup that he finished the season so strongly with back end of last season, so he was expecting a lot of continuity. Whereas what at the moment we seem to have is Duggan starting off a season. Now he always starts off a season.
No, absolutely. It's not the first time this has happened. We'll have a quick look. Khan 5 tells you everything you need to know, I think, about what's going on at Sancte at this point. They're one of those sides, going back to the comments that you kept kind of referring to throughout the show, they're one of the sides who I don't necessarily think have got the strongest bench to make the changes, although I do know, like you were talking about Gallardo, and I know that both I think Rox was saying as well that he's a big fan of Matt Glass as well, not a player for me personally, particularly at this standard. For Exiles, the ratings are just a different level compared to Sancte, aren't they?
They are, and it's difficult for me to commentate on someone like Rox, in all honesty, because
he plays it so different to you.
Well, it's not just that. Compared to my knowledge of the game, compared to him, he's Einstein, isn't he? And I'm not. And as much as a lot of it looks like madness, you know that he doesn't do anything unless there is method in it. So sometimes it's probably better for the likes of me maybe just to watch it rather than trying to make sense of it.
Well, Rox went stick early and Duggan isn't here tonight, so we will press on. Nothing happened in the first 10 minutes. The away side coming at them again, and then another 10 minutes. Had a lot of this where there's been nothing happen for a good 10-15 minutes period. There's Ronaldinho on 69 minutes to level things up. And what a goal that could be for Sancte to kickstart their season. Khan still on a 5, but Sol Campbell on a 9. And Rock celebrate the fact that they've conceded a goal and they've got a game that isn't going to finish 1-0. Steve saying that's why I wanted MVB and Vogel either side of Molesky, discussing the comment about tacklers and passers. So we'll just quickly show this so that when Duggan watches it back, he can see what was happening. As for Rox, do you imagine these ratings still look strong, although Batistuta is struggling tonight. He did have that goal disallowed in the first half. Rox is another one of these who doesn't necessarily believe in condition, so we won't dwell too much on that page. Could we possibly see Casas come on for Batistuta and see if that can get them the victory?
Yeah, I think Kesos has got pedigree in the Super League. You could quite happily stick him in the Batistuta role. I think a 5, you leave him on a 5 if he wasn't on a yellow. I sort of think in this situation, maybe you don't need to risk another yellow.
So it's actually Kutasov coming on.
Right, which, I mean, Kutasov, he would normally be an AMC FC with a finishing of 20, wouldn't he? But for some reason, I don't think he's there this time, is he?
Finishing 17.
It's good. It's decent enough, isn't it? But it's not quite the numbers that you would normally have.
So we press on. Sakte wanted a penalty, not given. Slow it down for dramatic conclusions. Scott in the chat saying, I like Coots. And Sakte take the lead. It's Inzaghi on 83. Now what do Exiles have about them? 4 minutes to be added on. Finnan puts it wide. Into injury time. Do Exiles have one more chance in them? It's the home side coming forward. Free kick awarded. Delivered in. Shorgatos, Ronaldinho, Ambrosini. There's the final whistle. And Ian very quickly retracting his previous comments about Sakte by saying, what a comeback. The home side are victorious with a 2-1 come from behind victory over Exiles. And that gets them off and running.
Well, yeah, I kind of talked Sakte up at the start and they went in half-time behind. And then I talk Rocks up at half-time and he ends up losing the game. So I really do not have a clue what I'm talking about, do I?
And he pops up just in time, saying not bad for losing the game after 11 minutes. Big win that. Still shy though, says Ian. And Rock saying wonderful stuff, played Ghost Duggan. And Steve saying it was a good game to watch. Quick look at the stats. Khan did come off of his 5, but look at that performance from Ndai and Petit in that defensive midfield line. Rock solid against the man affectionately known as Rocks. As for the Exiles, their ratings actually ended up dropping. There was the 5 for Batistuta, Costanzo on a 6 as well. 6 also for Veron, which is not particularly, that's another lesser seen rating, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think that he's really done an awful lot for a good few seasons apart from you sticking him in at DMC. So, you know, maybe with that 3 that he likes to play in front of Nesta, maybe Veron could be one of them. Absolutely.
But huge congratulations to Sakte and to Duggan as they get their first points of the season. That takes us to, last season. Were these? What am I looking at for? We had the 1-1 and the 3-0 last season. These were 2 of your closest rivals in the season. So good to have them early season going hammer and tong again. This is the Coast team. It is unchanged from last time out. They are top of the league, 2 from 2, 5 goals scored, 1 conceded. Are they again the team to beat? Is it one of those where if you beat Coast, you win it?
Yeah, massive surprise that he's already up there in it and just like chugging along and doing dimble things and just winning games and just looking strong. I mean, he's done good business. I don't care what anyone says. Zanetti for Jax is a deal and a half. I think he felt he could do that deal because he had one of his favourites, Stanic, to come back into that Jax role and do probably not the same numbers, but try and get close to it. Because, I mean, you know, it's the tactic that should be doing it at the end of the day as opposed to just the player. Mm-hmm. He's doing it still without Kewell. Last match, he didn't have Kewell, did he? So... But then again, he wasn't away to Haggis last match, was he?
No, certainly wasn't. And Kewell, unfortunately for Coast, still unavailable tonight. You mentioned Zanetti and the Jacques deal. Both do play. Changes for Haggis. Robert comes in. Bowen Morte drops to the bench. And Saeed, who we were speaking about the other night, he moves out to the right-hand side of the DM line with Gomez coming in as well. Other than that, it is the traditional, if you like, Haggis team of this season.
And I wonder how many people have been in Ian's or Scott's DMs asking about Marco Del Vecchio. Because when we do talk about certain teams having a strong 11 and not much else, the one thing that Haggis have done is, well, I guess this is another tip of the hat to Rocks, is that if you get a bunch of guys in and 2 or 3 of them that people weren't necessarily thinking would do great, a Cuenca, a Juan Gomez, it kind of frees up the fact that you've probably got a 12 or a 13 or a 14 rather than an 11. And then you do end up with one of the best players of the last season languishing on the bench.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm really looking forward to this one. Can I ask you for a score prediction, please?
1-1.
1-1. Let's see if you are correct. Last time you said a 1. There was an early goal, not quite as early this time, but Haggis are coming forward with purpose early doors, and there's a pile driving effort over the bar. Jacques involved, Zanetti involved as well for both teams, the 2 players that we spoke about as part of that deal. Gomez Van Nistelrooy fails to convert. It looks to me, as we pass the half-hour mark, that Haggis have maybe shaded it. But as I say, that Stanic opens the scoring for the away side and look to double their advantage quickly. Don't convert. Haggis coming back at them again. Vieri missing a chance. Van Nistelrooy missing a chance. And are they going to catch them on the counter again? Oh, it was so close to being 2. And Coast have the last chance of the half. That ebbed and flowed throughout, didn't it?
Yeah, it took a little while to get going, but then all of a sudden it kicked into life and end to end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could have been well more than 1-0.
No, really, really enjoyable half of football. With the exception of the actual goals scored, that is Super League at its finest. 2 quality teams playing some quality stuff. I don't think Ian will think his side are out of it just yet. I mean, you can see there they've got 8 ratings in key places. Samuel, Petkov, Gomez. They just need a bit more from the attacking players. Jacques there, yellow card, 6. Van Nistelrooy has had 3 of those attempts, but only 1 on target.
Yeah, I mean, you've got quality players on the pitch, haven't you, though? So, I mean, at some point, we always say this trust the process thing, don't we? But like, if you fill your team with quality players, at some point, they're going to win your football matches. Vieri, Van Nistelrooy might not be pulling up in trees at the minute, but we could be looking at this in 45 minutes' time, and it could be 4-1 with 2 goals from each of those strikers. They are that good. Jack's on a yellow and on a 6 with Del Vecchio on the bench is a question for now. It's probably a bigger question for 60.
Yeah, no, absolutely, completely agree with that. And with Scott about, Ian might be scared to take Jacques off. He's swapped the strikers round, as seems to be tradition. Dimble going as is. So we will persevere on and see what the second half has to offer. And Coast double their lead. It's Stanic. He really is doing the Jacques role tonight, isn't he? So 67 on the clock, and you can see here Van Nistelrooy's dropped to a 5. Jacques' rating itself has gone up, but Coast just look too strong for Haggis at the moment, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I think if you ever want a manager to go to a top team and batten down the hatches and nick a win, or even control a game to a certain extent, then I think Dimble is probably your man. He has a knack of doing it, and we know it's no fluke because he does it plenty.
So we've got Del Vecchio for Van Nistelrooy and swap the strikers back again. So we have done that. Interesting decision. Definitely trying to affect the game though and still get back into it. But obviously, Rue Van Nistelrooy is a very important player, so you're missing him. for the next 25 minutes or so. Gomez, however, on the flip side, performing very, very well.
Yeah, Juan Gomez doing fantastic. I mean, that three at the back it's different, that three at the back, because it's not dominated by an Ndiaye or a Tomasi with two others who could play elsewhere. It's kind of three, top guy, good guys, but not top guys. And obviously interesting that Jax does stay, but it's at the expense of Del Vecchio, at the expense of Van Nistelrooy. Interesting what you said. Is Ian scared to make too many changes that might upset Scott? I mean, if we do have a case of the tail wagging the dog, it's not probably the best place to start your season.
As for Coast, look very solid. Hussein, the only player not rating at least a 7. Condition-wise, Rivaldo's dropped down to 77, Stanic 76, but I can't see him coming off when he's one away from a hat-trick. Yakstam on a yellow. Are you expecting an as-is again from Dimble?
Is he around? Is Dimble around? I mean,
he is. He gave an as-is at half time.
As-is, did he? Sorry, Alex. Yeah, I mean, Alex for Rivaldo would be the only other one, but why would you? Why would you not just see the game out?
And there's his second as-is. So we continue on. Let's see if the changes do make a game of it for Haggis. Can Ian influence the game from the touchline? 15 minutes to go, and it was nearly free for Coast as they come forward again. Boa Morte goes in the book. There was a little rally, but it looks like Coast are going to see this out, if not add to it themselves. Del Vecchio misses a chance. We're now on 89. A yellow card, I think that was for Kvelchuk. Into injury time. Vieri misses the latest chance, and Coast win the game 2-0. A good game of football. Haggis quite wasteful in front of goal. 8 attempts, only 3 on target. But Haggis have a blueprint of success, don't they? So I don't think they're gonna panic just because they've lost to Coast.
No, not at all. I mean, the one thing people say a lot of things about Ian, but the one thing you'll never say about him is that he won't lose his head. He'll, he's saying their changes will be made, but there won't be massive changes. He won't steer too far away from what you call the blueprint. And I mean, the one thing I would say about that, and it's a phrase that I absolutely hate, and I never normally like to say it, but I mean that is a little bit of a statement win from East Coast. I mean, they played 2-1-2, but they were both at home.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you test them out away to Haggis? Bit of a test. Come away, clean sheet, 2 goals. Your man of the match is, you make that trade, that's a Netty Jacques trade. You put an absolute worldie in one of your places, and then you bring another guy in to replace the guy that you've lost who puts in a performance like that. It couldn't have gone any better for him.
No, completely agree. Congratulations to Dimble. Commiserations to Ian. As we move on to the headline act of the night, 2 of the biggest characters in the Super League, 2 of the biggest teams with history in the Super League, differing histories, it has to be said, but 2 histories nonetheless, as Northern Burn travel to Fulchester, just as Macca joins the chat. Dimble, miracle I've managed to see the game, to be fair, up the evening hangover, and off to find somewhere to get 3 bags of crack for a tenner, says Ian. Let's talk your team first then. The only thing to mention is an alteration to the 24, as I can't remember who it was you dropped down. I want to say Lopez.
Yeah, Lopez. Down. Yeah, Lopez.
But as per the moniker, Ian, as is Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, we lost last time out, but say we were possibly over the piece, as good as them, and you're talking a top 2-3 team in the league, and we were fine. We were okay. There's no real grounds for change apart from, I think, Fiore got ideas above his station and started playing a little bit too well, perhaps. But other than that, I mean, yeah, there's nowhere for me to go there really, apart from have another crack at it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's have a look at the Fulchester team then, who are without Tudor, they're without Crespo. An interesting choice, in my opinion. They've brought Donny in that left DM role, which is definitely, and we were talking earlier about the difference in the DM threes between tacklers and passers, and they're definitely looking for the creativity to come from Donny there.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of creativity in this team, and the only thing that bothers me is I have a rubbish record against. I know I say this every time I come on. I play Macca. Macca seems to think we draw every game that we play, but I have to keep reminding Macca that he does actually win most of our games. So it's I'm not as confident as I could be, and there is a lot of creativity in that team. I think again when you play that 3 DMs, you can afford for 1 or 2 of them to just be creative players, especially when Gattuso's going to tackle for fun. I mean, Robin, Beckham, Gerrard, back. I mean, there's loads of creativity there, isn't there?
There is. Torres is partnering Ronaldo tonight. Chiesa can have 21. So I'll let you assume the position and wish you and Macca the very best of luck as we kick off the final game of Game Week 3, Season 15. Fulchester come forward on 10 minutes. Torres getting involved. Attempt goes wide. You can see Back and Robin, Beckham. Ian mentioned the amount of creativity. All those players seem to be getting involved. Fulchester need to score while they've got this bit of momentum because we know what Bernard capable of. Montero goes in the book. And referee says play on. Jerry Connolly not endearing himself to the supporters there. Here come Byrne, building a head of steam just before half-time. Fulchester now going up the other end. Will we get a goal before the break? Frey can't hold on to it, but does at the second attempt. Half-time, 0-0. Both teams with attempts, both with the equal amount of attempts on target. Tackles, Fulchester better, but everything else very, very similar. We'll highlight the Fulchester stats first as the home team and because Ian's here on the live feed. Solid ratings. Maybe looking for a little bit more from their captain. And we mentioned that Donny was in there. He is seeing plenty of the ball, but maybe it's the defensive side they need a bit more from him on. Macca's not feeling most confident. Ian, I'll invite you back in here. What did you make of that first half?
I thought we were all right. You're always in a panic when they get near your goal, and they got near our goal quite a bit, which is a bit of a concern, but I think we threatened. I'd like to have, same as you said about Macca, like when you get those periods of pressure, get a goal, and yeah, I felt like I could have done with one. But yeah, I thought we were all right.
Okay. Any changes for you at halftime?
No, thanks, mate.
Okay. So both managers going as is until the 60 mark. Let's see what happens in the second half. A yellow card. I think that was for Ronaldo. Fulchester coming forward again. Gattuso gets a talking to. And Byrne take the lead through Fiore. It's 1-0 to the away side. And then the whole 10-minute period just goes by with nothing happening. So we stop it on 74. And Ian, your side have the lead.
Yeah, it kind of followed the same pattern, didn't it? End to end, chances for both teams. It's who takes them.
Just looking at the Fulchester stats here, no one on yellows. Torres, the only player below 80s on 79% fitness. Match ratings, only Back, not rating 7 or higher. So interesting to see what Macca does to try and influence this, or whether he trusts this 11 based on what he's seen so far. As for yourself, mate, Montero on a 9, nobody rating below a 7. Condition, you have got 3 players on yellow cards. Condition-wise, Fiore 78, Ortega 73. Anything you'd like to do there?
No, thanks, mate.
No, and as is from Mr. Edwards. Going back to Fulchester now, and it's Serginho for Back. With Robin and Ronaldo behind Torres. So a bit like that, Macca. Just confirm that's what you want to do. That's how I've interpreted it. Looking to maybe overload Keane a little bit in that AM line with the tactic alteration. But I'll just wait confirmation that is how Maka wants to go. Correct. Lovely. So for the remaining time, then let's see what this game has left to offer us as game week 3 comes to a close. Still 1 goal in it, so we'll slow it down as we approach the 80-minute mark. Deflects off the wall Montero, but Gattuso is able to clear. We're into the final 10, into the final 5. Just time ticking away with nothing happening, which will frustrate Fulchester. We're into the final knockings here. Ortega, Thuram. Gattuso gets shown a yellow, and there's the final whistle. Northern Burn go into the Christmas break with a victory. It's defeat for Fulchester. And I think tonight, if my memory serves me well, we've certainly knocked the home team's dominance over away team's theory on the head. A very, very even game, that, Ian.
Very even game. I feel a little bit for Maka there because he could have won that just as easily as I could have won it. One random guy popping up with one random goal was all it took. And it could easily have been the way that Maka's team played. It could easily have been his team that did that.
Well, I mean, it was Lucio for Fulchester who ended up getting Man of the Match award. Their ratings looked solid. Materazzi was good as well. They just didn't quite have enough about them on the night to get the result. But as you say, it could have quite easily been the other way. All the stats just looked that even.
Yeah, I mean, I was chatting to Tato in the messages a couple of days ago after he beat me, and I just said, like, I'm not going to panic. I said, if I can go to the C-suite, get a draw, that's pretty much exactly where I want to be. It's where I would have been last season. So I guess this kind of means we're a little bit ahead of schedule, which is good. Maybe those yellows at some point with the big tacklers, they catch up with me. But yeah, happy enough with that.
So to go through the classifieds, then we had Dudley Hill 2, Badgers 0. In the first game of the night. Foss Road picked up a 3-1 win over a very unfortunate Stackington on the night, who had Casillas sent off again. We've just seen Northern Burn come away with a 1-0 win at Fulchester. East Coast also winning away from home at Haggis. We've got a 2-0 win for LSK, who, excuse me, I said to Jamie, I would just flash his stats up, so there they are. 3 out of the 4 sides who were pointless going into this round of fixtures have now got wins because Sancte beat Exiles in a come-from-behind victory. They won 2-1 on the night. And at the bottom there, Sloths losing 3-1 in the opening fixture at home to Vikings. That means going into Christmas, East Coast sit top of the league, the only team to win 3 from 3. We then have a whole host of teams on 6 points. Dudley Hill, Northern Burn, Vikings, Badgers, Exiles, and Haggis, who are just below the dotted line, but all on 6 points. Haggis, the only one of those sides not in positive goal difference. Stanley on 4. We've then got LSK, Foss Road, Stackington, and Sancte all on 3. Fulchester on 1 and Sloths on 0, the only 2 sides yet to win this season. The next round of fixtures, on the assumption that nothing changes and Santa doesn't deliver me what I really want for Christmas this year, will be on Boxing Day, 9 o'clock again. Packs will go out in the morning when I get up. But the fixtures are Badgers Sancte. Love the look of that one. Fulchester Dudley could be fun. Burn LSK. Sloths Foss Road. Anything could happen in that game. Stackington Haggis. Stanley East Coast. And Vikings Exiles looks interesting as well for me there. That bottom fixture. Very, very tasty. Jens wanted to see some player stats. Fabian Barthez isn't at the... Well, he's joint top with 4 other players on 8-6-7. Jeremy's of Vikings, Joe Cole, who you spoke about earlier in the night, and Ibrahim Saeed up there as well in terms of average ratings. It means very little at this stage, but Joe Cole, Thierry Henry, and Dario Hussein top the goal-scoring charts on 3. We've got Contra leading the way in assists on 3. And then for those who love the percentages, I will just tick very quickly through these. And that leaves me with just to say, firstly, Ian, thank you very much for stepping in and doing comms. I very much appreciate it. And as always, I invite everyone to participate in comms over the course of the season. It'd be great to have everyone on at least once. It should work out in theory that everyone could make 2 appearances a season, and that takes up the whole campaign. But we know some people aren't as confident doing it, but you are an expert. So thank you very much for your time this evening. I'd like to wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas. To all the Super League managers, I extend those wishes to you as well. I hope everyone has a fantastic Christmas. Look forward to chatting to you on Boxing Day, where comms are still open, if you would like to do them on Boxing Day night. And if you're not a Super League manager, but you have at some point in time found our content and enjoy what we do, then again to you, I wish you the happiest of Christmases as we just go through these last few comments. Doug is saying Merry Christmas, lads, as does Steve, as does Tato. So yes, Ian, final words from you for the last show before Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody. See us all Boxing Day. Let's keep the this great thing rolling on. And God blesses everyone.
Indeed, Boxing Day was made for football. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Good night.